It is sure to be our crappiest episode yet.
I don't know why I haven't been doing this for years, honestly.
I think that's a good thing to bring attention to is these herbs get absorbed when we're taking them in the rectum.
I was hoping to talk a little bit about how to make it a little bit easier.
My herb costs on my enemas a lot because I had to do all of mine twice.
I donated my body to science.
I thought it was very interesting to see some of these enemas had very distinct, different experiences.
Sound like an enema junkie. Welcome to Herbalism Uncensored, the podcast where we dig deep into the world of herbalism and natural healing. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Lila. We're two clinical herbalists who recognize the need for honest and authentic conversations about the state of natural healing today. As practitioners, we feel called to have uncensored discussions about why people aren't finding relief and what to do about it.
If you're frustrated by lack of results, overwhelmed by conflicting advice online, disillusioned by the commercialization of wellness, or simply passionate about natural healing, you're in the right place.
This podcast is our way of cutting through the noise, busting myths, and challenging marketing gimmicks.
This is Herbalism Uncensored,
where together we're nurturing the future of natural healing.
The contents of this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to be a substitute in any way for professional medical advice, treatment, or diagnosis. It's important that you always seek the advice of your physician or other licensed healthcare provider with any questions or concerns you may have regarding a medical condition.
Welcome to our very last episode of 2025. It is sure to be our crappiest episode yet.
You've been waiting to say that.
I really have. And I was going to cuss and say our shittiest episode yet, but I decided to tone it down. But Alicia and I have prepared a very special episode for you guys. Today, we gift you 12 days of enemas.
I don't even know what to say back to that.
I feel like we've been planning this episode for like 6 months.
Well, we've been talking about it. We have been talking about it for quite some time. And, I think it was my idea because I love wordplay. And I was like, 12 days of Christmas, we'll do 12 days of enemas. So between the two of us, we did 12 days of enemas. All in a row. Did you do yours all in a row? I did mine all in a row.
I had a little space between a couple of mine, but they were pretty close together.
So, and they're each different. And so we've got some results to share. Yeah, I don't know about you, and well, I'll find out because we haven't talked at all about what we did, really. Or I think you sent me a list. I have a list that I never sent to you because our lives have still been. Is the chaos calming down?
A little bit, but this last month has been an absolute whirlwind.
So yeah, you're moving. You're now in California, waiting to doula for your sister's home birth.
No, it already happened.
It happened. Oh my goodness, congratulations, Auntie.
I flew in the day that she had to be induced, some castor oil induction, and I literally walked in the house. I telepathically told her I was here, and the baby started crowning. Boom, it was there within like 5 minutes of me walking in. It was great.
Awesome. So you're on mommy care.
Oh yeah, cooking, cleaning. We got 4 kids now. The whole thing over here.
Okay. So yeah, so we have, and I've finished up or still finishing up my home renovations and just had my last week of holiday catering on top of things. So we haven't spoken at all. I have a list of the enemas that you did. I don't know how any of them went. You don't even know what kind of enemas I did. And so we have results to share with each other and the world. I will say that I had a great experience, and this isn't my first time doing a series of enemas. I was really into it probably several years ago. I was doing quite a few enemas and lots of herbal enemas, but now I think I want to just start doing one every day, like make it part of my dinacharya, because it's been such a wonderful way to get medicine in and have some pretty substantial results pretty quickly.
I felt the same way. They were fabulous. And we did talk once during it because I distinctly remember Jordan walked in and I was mid-enema talking on the phone to you.
Yeah, yes. Is it weird if I talk on the phone while I do an enema? I was like, I'm cool with it.
Jordan walked in, he's like, I don't know what's happening, and just turned right back around.
I just want to take a moment and thank all of our listeners, because if you're still listening, you have an open mind and an open heart, and you are courageous, especially if you're American and you are still listening while we talk about butt stuff. Because I realize we talk about bowels and butt stuff a lot around here. And a lot of people don't want to listen to that kind of stuff, but there's a lot of value in it.
I agree. There's a lot of value in butt stuff. Before we dive into sharing our enemas and the results, I think it would behoove us to talk about some of the benefits of enemas because, oh my gosh, they are probably one of the best treatments out there for a majority of the diseases that people face. So Ayurveda says that 80% of diseases are caused by the Vata dosha, and the number one treatment for Vata dosha is enema. So an enema a day might actually keep the doctor away.
You're doing great on the wordplay today.
I know, right?
So
After our stoner episode last week, now it's just I don't even know.
it's just wintertime. We've slowed down a little bit, and we're both I think we're doing a lot of things. We're both doing a lot of things. It's a season of transition. Happy solstice, everyone. Tomorrow is winter solstice. Tomorrow night is going to be the shortest night of the year. And so I think that we're in a space of, shedding the things to leave behind. And when a snake sheds its skin, it slows down a little bit.
And it starts telling bad jokes and wordplay.
Well, so anyway, I want to be clear with the enemas. One thing that I think I want to start with, because I had talked to a couple of people and said I was doing an enema every day, that I didn't realize that when people think enema, they think to stimulate a bowel movement. And that's probably, that's what majority of people think. They think enema, well, it's so that you can poop. But with a medicinal enema, you would like to be empty before you begin so that you can absorb the medicine. So this is something that I was doing after a bowel movement and then was usually retaining them so that we can soak up all that goodness, all the good herbs and nourishing things that we're putting in them.
Well, and I think you're right to bring that up because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what enemas are. And I think the enemas that people are doing and displaying on places like Instagram are very different than the enemas that are traditionally used in Ayurveda. Day and night difference. For the record, Ayurveda calls them bastis, and they can be done in like any of the holes, but we stuck to the rectum for our bastis. And there's 3 types that you can do. There's detoxifying enemas, there's tonifying enemas, and there's nutritive enemas. So enemas can be a really good way to get medicine into people when they can't take it orally. It can be really, really good for somebody who's depleted and just needs so much extra nourishment. And it can be a great way to detoxify people. And there's a difference between doing a detoxifying enema every day when you're already depleted and using the correct type of enema for where you're at in your healing journey with, with the right information and things like that. I think enemas can just be really helpful, but you have to use the right enemas at the right point.
Yeah, that's I had some plans to do some different enemas than I did, but I'd gotten sick and kind of like overworked myself and committed some crimes against nature, ate some things that I don't normally eat, like bread and cheese, because I was just working. And then I crashed and was depleted. I was depleted when I began this process. So I took that into consideration. I had some detoxifying enemas that I wanted to do, and I did mostly nutritive and tonifying enemas.
No,
So
it's really interesting. Oh, I would say what's really interesting about enemas are they can be used preventatively and curatively. So you can use them to prevent diseases or to stop Vata imbalances from getting worse and turning into diseases. And if you already are in a progressed state, they can be used to cure that progressed state. So they, like we've said, they do so much more than treat constipation. They correct these patterns and imbalances before they become diseases. Before they become diseases, or they can reverse these patterns, which is really, again, cool and helpful because these patterns that we're talking about cause a majority of diseases. They are destructive in the body, and that is the thing that wipes us all out. It's Vata.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. So yeah, we have to get down to this whole idea of people think Ayurveda, they think Vata Pitta Kapha, and what is my constitution? What's my Prakriti? And that's all good to know, but actually, dosha is something that is, what does dosha mean? Dosha means corrupt,
That
wrong,
which could go wrong. Yep.
that which can go wrong. So if you have a Vata constitution, then there's a chance that Vata could cause some problems, or you have a higher chance that Vata could cause some problems. But Pitta, Vata is very mobile and it moves all around the body, and it can push and pull Pitta and Kapha into places where you don't necessarily want that to be. Kapha doesn't really move at all. Pitta can move just a little bit on its own, but if anything, somewhere where it's any energy or ama, like toxins, is somewhere in your body that it's not supposed to be, chances are Vata is the reason that it's there. It didn't get there on its own. And Vata resides in the colon. So anything that we can do to eliminate things from the colon is going to eliminate Vata from the body. And the less Vata you have, the less you have things, the less chaos you have in your body. Vata is wind, Vata is chaos.
It's what did KP say? He said, I don't know, like Vata's mischievous and Pitta and Kapha are dumb. They don't do anything unless provoked by Vata.
Yeah.
So
They're
anything we
inert.
can exactly anything we can do to keep Vata at bay is going to be really helpful. So some of the things that these Bastis can do, they're an ultimate remedy for a lot of psychosomatic diseases. They boost immunity and promote longevity. It can delay aging, strengthen the body and mind, fortify the tissues, cleanse impurities. It's a rejuvenator and an aphrodisiac. And it can really support the quality and quantity of life because, again, Vata is destruction. And if we are counteracting that destruction, we're going to have a lot more life in us than we would otherwise. So
Yes.
we talk about those core Vata patterns, the constipation, the gas, the bloating, the flatulence, the anything localized to the colon. It's going to help with that, but it's also going to help with these larger Vata issues and toxic buildup in the body, that ama. So if you're having arthritic conditions, nervous system disorders, insomnia, tinnitus, tinnitus.
Tinnitus.
We have to say it correctly. Tremors, back pain, really any
Pain
pain.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
any pain.
it's just I'm not supposed to say the word cure, but it's a bit of a cure-all.
Yes, you can say whatever word you want.
That's true, because this is for educational and entertainment purposes only.
All of those things, every single one of those things that you just listed, every one of those symptoms or pathologies, these are all driven by Vata.
Yeah.
So what it does, this is oh gosh, dare I go? Because that's what the Basti does. The Basti stimulates Apanavayu, which is the aspect of Vata that should move downwards. When it gets moving in another direction, that's when you end up with things like tinnitus and anxiety and insomnia, because it's moving things upwards and it's not supposed to go there. So that's what we did our Ayurveda, our WTF is Ayurveda episode, after I saw a woman on Instagram say that anal sex is good for, what was it? It was good for stress because it pushed Apanavayu upwards. No, you want Apanavayu to go downwards. And that's exactly what the enema does. It stimulates it to move in the directions that it's supposed to move and out, and releases ama from the colon, gets toxins out of your body. It reverses the direction of pathology. It reverses the movement of doshas, passing from the GI tract to our tissues and gets it back into the GI tract so that it can get out. It regulates all the subdoshas of Vata and all subdoshas that enter the colon.
And as I pointed out before, there are 3 types of enemas that can be done. So the detoxifying ones, you're only going to use in a patient that has strong or good Bala or strength. You don't want to do detoxifying enemas in somebody that's depleted. So this would be for people that have high loads of toxins in their body or high ama. And you would be using detoxifying herbs. The next type is a tonifying or oil-based basti, and those would be used for increasing ojas or our life force, or for bringing in lubrication for vata, because vata dries us out. So if you're dealing with a lot of dry issues, internal dryness, skin dryness, bringing in that oil and lubricating everything is going to be how to counteract that. And then our third type of basti, the nutritive bastis, those are going to be things like milk, meat broth, our nutritive herbs. They're building herbs like ashwagandha and shatavari. And those would be for people that need to be built back up, people who are highly depleted, people who are fragile and frail, and still those who are dry and cold. It can really help with any of those issues. And I will also note that standard Ayurvedic enemas are usually only using about a cup and a half of liquid or a few ounces of oil with the liquid. You're holding them a lot longer than a lot of enemas that are talked about. And there's different ranges there. Like some of the enemas can go up to more than a quart of liquid, but the standard enema is a smaller volume of liquid held for a longer amount of time. That's what I stuck with. I kept all my enemas pretty low volume.
Low volume. I
Mm-hmm.
went with higher volume, but yeah, I went with higher volume. So that's cool. Look at us. It's just working out. I love that I think the way that they work, the distribution through the body, because that's what, your colon absorbs things so quickly. And when they are administered through the colon, they enter directly into the rasa dhatu. This is our lymphatic tissue. This is in our blood. This is going, and it goes from there, from rasa, it can get anywhere it needs to go. It goes to the heart. And once it gets to the heart, beyond vayu, that's one of the subdishes, vata grabs it and helps it to circulate throughout the body. So this is Ayurveda's justification for why a colon-based therapy is described as systemic and why it can be so effective. It's a main panchakarma treatment. We've talked about panchakarma a little bit. These are the 5 actions, and this is a incredible detoxifying, rejuvenating therapy that's used in Ayurveda to treat all manner of diseases that can be life-changing and life-enhancing and, perhaps life-saving. Can I say that? I guess, yeah, educational purposes only. It treats all doshas. So this is it's a main treatment, mainly treats vata, can treat all doshas, enters into the first tissue and can circulate all throughout the body. I don't know why I haven't been doing this for years, honestly. I think it seems like such a hassle, but having done it on a daily basis for a while and seeing the results, I don't know if I'll ever stop.
Oh, and that's a good thing to note that these treatments are mild, so they have to be repetitive to get results. It's something that you're not necessarily doing every other day, but bi-daily, or sometimes they're done in certain sequences, like you'll do a series of 8, maybe you'll do a series of 16 or 30 or even more. So this is not a one and done thing. It's not do it once a month. It's something to do with regularity if you want to see results. And I agree with Alicia, even doing almost a week straight of enemas, you do see results. So it's very motivating. But I will say with clients, I've noticed it's not something anyone's interested in. I float it every once in a while when the symptom picture matches, and I think it'll be really, really helpful. And it's intimidating to people. We aren't used to talking about putting things up our rectum. I think it's very, very foreign. I told my sister about one of my enemas, and I'll talk about it a little bit more. And she's like, dude, you're crazy. Like, that's insane. She like, she breaks it up every time she sees me now because she's like, I can't believe you put that up your butt. And I'm like, it's normal. We need to put more things up our butt. Like,
Well, and I think that I agree with you that's been my experience as well, that I've floated this to a couple of clients. I've really encouraged a couple of people in particular because I just really know and believe that it would help them so much. And people are really reluctant, or I think maybe they'll do it once and don't have the best experience because there's a learning curve. There's a learning curve in learning how to do it efficiently and how to do it with the least amount of cleanup. and that it's daunting. It's daunting, but it does. And when I'm going to go backtrack just a little bit, because we say it's mild but repetitive and it's something that needs to be done regularly. It doesn't mean that it has to be done endlessly. And it doesn't mean that it has to be done that the repetitions have to be as close together. Like this is something that could be done every day for 2 weeks, and then could be done once a week after that. Or I would say every day for 40 days. And then afterwards you could do once or twice a week and go down to once a week. And over time, you'll continue to see results. But it's that's the exact same thing that we do with everything else. We talk about loading doses.
Yeah, it's a great point.
You want to get a lot in at first, get the results, and then continue to keep your body nourished in this manner with whatever the medicine you're using to help your body with the specific changes you want to manifest. And it can be really transformative. I was hoping to talk a little bit about how to make it a little bit easier, because this is one of those things where we've got some tips and tricks up our sleeve. And I feel like I've got this enema thing down. So,
go ahead.
well, I know, for example, you did tell me you bought a bucket. You got the enema bucket. How much easier is the enema bucket than the enema bag?
I will touch on that because I'm actually a little torn.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll just caveat, I think I did my first enema maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, and it was intimidating because I thought it was a bit dangerous. I thought like, I don't know if I watched some YouTube videos or read a blog or something, but I remember thinking like, oh, if I get the water temperature wrong or I mess up my pH or I do something wrong, it's gonna kill me or something. Like that's what it felt like. So that's the world I came into it with, just again from like internet research. And so opening up my Ayurvedic experience and realizing that it's a completely different world than I thought it was is huge, because I think there's a lot of just overblown like fear around these type of things that we don't understand. And while this is very traditional, it's been done in Ayurveda for thousands of years, it's fallen out of practice. And then the people that talk on it don't necessarily talk on it with a lot of wisdom. And so I think there's just a lot of misinformation going on around these topics that I think really intimidate people and put up another barrier to entry to doing things like enemas.
I totally agree with you. I remember watching it was like a reel on Instagram about how to do a coffee enema. And at the end of the day, it was, like it was, here, get this enema bucket, lay on your left side. But in the end, the comment sections were full of, what kind of coffee do you get? No, DM me. I only give that information to my clients. I'm going to tell you what kind of coffee to get. And, if you do a coffee enema, I'll just go ahead and throw it out there now. Wilson's coffee. That's my go-to. It's air roasted Wilson's coffee. But all the fear, I think it's like a liability issue. I think that arises out of our litigious culture, that even though you're doing your own enema and who can you sue if something goes wrong? We're so worried about something going wrong. And you do have to be clean. Like, you want your equipment to be sterile. You don't want to be laying on a dirty bathroom floor. You don't want to use the enema bucket that you used yesterday without boiling the tubing. You do have to keep things clean, but I don't think it can't possibly be as dangerous as I'm sure it looks like when I Google it.
Yeah, and it's not as serious as I think we think it is. We take extra precautions and whatnot, but at the end of the day, like, think about all the things people put up their butts, Alicia. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
People are regularly putting fingers and thumbs and tongues and all kinds of things up there. So yes, you want to be sterile and careful, but it's not going to kill you.
We have one avid listener who I'm sure is just dying right now. But yes, you're absolutely correct. But I think that's a lot of the fear is like, oh, you can get some kind of bacterial infection in your colon. I don't know what you'd have to do to your enema equipment to get a bacterial infection in your colon from your medicinal enema.
Yeah.
Just don't be gross, and I'm sure you'll be okay. And I know there's a lot of people out there doing gross stuff who are okay.
I remember I came in for clinic for a class that Alicia and I were in together, and I was prescribed enemas for what some of the stuff I had going on. And I did my first one, and then I boiled it in the pot, a pot in my apartment, and my little sister was living with me at the time, and she just thought that was the most uncouth thing ever, and it created like World War III in my house. So I didn't get back on my enemas till she moved out.
And now you're free.
And now I'm free. I can wash my enemas in whatever I want.
Oh, so should we get into the enemas?
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about your enemas.
I'm excited to hear about yours and to tell you about mine. I had fun with it. I got creative. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Well, like I gotta find my notes.
Oh, well, here.
So the very first enema I did was probably like the most classic enema from Ayurveda, which is dashmul. It is an herbal formula made with 10 roots in Ayurveda. It's one of the main herbs.
Treatments for Vata.
Treatment, yeah, it's also a really good anupan or vehicle for Vata medicines. So dashmul and Vata go hand in hand together. So I did dashmul and sesame. And this was my first time using my bucket. So I switched from an enema bag to an enema bucket. And I realized very quickly that the oil in the enema bucket does not work. So this was the only oil enema I did. After this one, I had to change my formulations a little bit and remove oil because I could not get the oil in.
Oh, you did dashmula oil.
Well, no, so I did dashmul as a tea, and then I added sesame oil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I did them together, but what you really need to do if you're going to do oil enemas is get a bulb syringe and fill that with the oil and put the oil in separate from the rest of the enema. Well, I'm curious what your experience is, because for me, the oil could not get in, and I found the oil very messy to clean. If I were to continue on with oil enemas, which I will invest in a bulb syringe to get the oil in separately. But this was a good enema. It felt just kind of basic to me. It was super mild. It went in easily. I held this one for about an hour, and it just, to me, it felt like, okay, this would be one to do multiple times to feel a good effect. It felt very mild. It didn't feel overly nutritive or overly detoxifying. It felt very neutral. And of course, you do get some clean out from any enema that you're going to do, but I was still dialing in my bucket situation because I'm really tall and the hose was really long and I couldn't get it hung high enough. And so this was like working out my enema kinks here with my new setup.
I'm trying to figure out why your height affects how high you hang your bucket.
Well, because if the hose isn't if there's not enough hang on the hose, then there's not enough gravity to get everything down. So when I'm on all fours doing an enema, my rectum sits high.
Okay.
I couldn't get it. I couldn't hang it any higher because the highest point in the bathroom I had was the shower head or the shower curtain. And so I just there's too much hose and not enough space between my rectum and where the bag was, or the pail was going.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah. So there was a bit of logistics happening for me, and I got better, but I could never get any liquid I got in. I knew the last quarter cup I wouldn't be able to get in.
Okay. Yeah. Is it my turn?
Yeah, sure.
Or did you have more to say?
That was my dashmul and sesame oil enema. It was neutral, but there was room for improvement in the execution of it.
And I think dashmul is one of those things that, if I took some dashmul right now, I wouldn't feel anything. But if I took dashmul every day for a week or a month, then I would notice a difference. And I'm sure the enema is going to be the same way, that it will take some time to really feel anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could feel that while doing it. It just felt very, very mild.
Very mild.
Yeah. But it was nice.
Nice. I think, dashmul's a lovely and mild formula. So my first one, and I had painted and done baseboards and floors and just worked really hard and didn't take the best care of myself for about 2 weeks before we started this process. And I felt so depleted. And you could see it in my face. I looked depleted. So I began, and I also was kind of like, felt like I had, oh, I had a UTI. And so I got a UTI. I haven't had a UTI in so many years. And I only ever get a UTI if I'm just stressed and overworked. So I started with, I took all of that into consideration, and I began with astragalus. Now, like I said, I got creative because astragalus is a Chinese herb. It's a root. It's nourishing. It's tonifying. It has a sweet taste, which means so it's got a building energy, and it's mainly used as an immune tonic. And in Chinese medicine, they say it increases your Wei qi. That's the qi that protects you from disease. Scientifically, we found that it helps to increase white cell count with continuous use. So I infused or decocted, meaning I boiled astragalus in a quart of water. And what I got down to was I had 1 quart of astragalus tea that had 30 grams of astragalus in it. And I used that with Triphala ghee.
Interesting.
So while it was warm, I put the Triphala ghee in, and I retained it for 30 minutes. And what is it? I have notes. My notes are on my phone still. I didn't have any. It was really, really easy to retain. Just like to have a whole quart and be able to retain, something. It's because some things are more difficult to retain than others because of their detoxifying action. And it was really nice to just like, I felt like I could have held it longer, but I kept it for 30 minutes, and I had several small bowel movements after the initial release. I just felt really grounded afterwards. Like it was vata reducing, and just kind of, it was almost like I decompressed and just felt nourished. And I use the bucket. Oh, well, I'll talk a little bit about my technique. I have the bucket. I hang it probably just a little bit. I hang it as high as I can as well, but I lay down. I lay on my side. I lay on my side with my knees bent, and try as I'm inserting the tubing, I try to push forward. And there's almost like a place when you're putting the tubing in where you feel there's like some resistance. And if you relax and kind of just like finesse it a little bit, you can feel it going into your colon. And then it also becomes very easy to much easier to retain. So go ahead.
Did you have any issues getting the ghee in?
No, well, the thing with the ghee was I just I did the astragalus warm, like warm, like a baby bottle warm. But that's warm enough that when I put the Triphala ghee in and stirred it up, it melted.
And then it didn't have any issues getting through the tubing in the bucket?
No, I have the bucket here. You can see the bucket. This is what the tubing attaches to. So inside the bucket, there's probably about 2 centimeters from the bottom of the bucket to the actual hole. So it would have to be tilted like this, or once it gets low, tilted like this to actually go through. So what I would do is there's a clamp or an on-off switch, depending on what kind of tubing apparatus you have. And so I could clamp it off, stand up, tilt the bucket, glug, 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 glug. It goes into the tubing, lay back down, clamp it back on.
Yeah, my problem was the
Open
sesame was too thick to get in the hosing.
Oh, well, I did sesame oil with every one of my, I think almost all of my other, not all of them, but with several of my enemas. And I just put the sesame oil first and left it open. And I would put a glass vessel, like in my bathtub, pour the sesame oil in and let the tubing fill up with the sesame oil. And the only way to do that, because there's going to be like air bubbles in the tube as it's going down, is to have the vessel at the bottom so that the sesame oil can flow into that vessel until the tube is just full of sesame oil. And then I clamp it off, pour the rest of the sesame oil up top, and then pour my tea or any other liquid that I was using in. So the enema would begin with the sesame oil because when I started, the tubing was full of sesame oil.
Interesting.
It took, I probably wouldn't do that every day because it took some time, some patience to hold it. But actually, I feel like by the time When was the last time I did sesame oil was yesterday. I started with sesame oil, and I feel like it was almost like I got the trick, and it happened pretty quickly. But it's just like anything that we do. The first time we do it, it's clunky, and as we continue to do it, we just get more efficient.
Yeah, well, I'm glad the oils work for you. I wish I got a bulb syringe during this experiment to try going that route, but I didn't. So I wanna play with that next.
I bought a bulb syringe, but I haven't used it yet.
Sorry, I'll have to report on that in the future. Okay, so my second enema was my favorite and least favorite all at the same time. So this was my milk and molasses enema. This was a tonic, nutritive Basti. I used A2 milk, organic A2 dairy, and molasses, and I was able to retain it for about 20 minutes. It was really warm, not necessarily I made it too hot, but I could just feel my body temperature rising with the milk in there and the molasses in there. This is the one I was on the phone with you while I did.
Yeah.
And I I tasted the milk and molasses before it went in. I'm like, oh, this is yummy. But what was interesting is I expected this one to be really nutritive, but it had a really dramatic, noticeable effect. This one had a stronger clearing out, and I felt like it mobilized more material. So like it felt good as an enema. It felt effective. I felt like it dislodged things that were in there and was helpful after the initial clearing. But I will say, and this is like where I get into TMI, the warm milk in up there does not smell very fun coming out. Like there is a distinct scent that was from the milk being in, a warm environment that it was very off-putting. And Jordan was making fun of my milk farts for the next day. So I am not like rushing to go off and do a milk and molasses enema again. It was too much. Although it was satisfying as an enema and doing the enema and feeling that as an enema material was interesting.
Nice.
So
Milk part.
oh yeah, and I don't like maybe the A2 milk I'm still sensitive to, so it might have thrown things off down there. It was interesting.
That sounds interesting. I'm glad that you did it. That's one that I've never done. It's one because the milk and molasses enema is kind of common. It's this is something that is commonly used in nursing homes. It's good for geriatrics. It's fairly gentle. It has a gentle purgative action. So I've always been really curious about it. I'm happy to hear about your experience with it.
Oh, give it a go and report back. And I bet you could do it with any type of milk. Like I bet you could venture out to goat milk or camel milk or buffalo milk and get slightly different effects.
Oh, I thought I could get like buffalo milk. Is that a thing they sell at the store?
Not in America.
Not in America, yeah. I would probably be willing to try it with A2 milk. And then I would know for sure if I had a reaction to it. I seem to be okay with A2 dairy. It seems to not bother me.
Same.
Yeah, we messed up the cows. So my second day, and I kind of switched up my times on mine. Like the last one, I did it during the Vata time period. I did it at 4 a.m. So it was like right at the end of Vata and trying to find that grounding effect. And
the middle of Bala.
Is that the middle of Vata?
2 to 6.
2 to 6. Well, there we go. I did it at 4 a.m. right in the middle. And this next one, I was thinking, because I was in this inflammatory response, I went with a Guducci decoction. I used Guducci and amla, and I began with the sesame oil. Just like I said earlier, I just made sure that my tube was completely filled with no air bubbles with sesame oil before I put the Guducci and amla tea. And I did a quart. It had it was 20 grams of Guducci and 10 grams of amla. And I had infused that. I actually used my Guducci from the yard because it finally got cold here. So it was time to cut the Guducci down.
Oh, interesting.
And the first half of the enema, I had a purgative action. I got a pint in and had to stop. And just within a few minutes, had to release everything. But then I did that next pint. So this was actually, I guess, 2 enemas. I was able to retain for about 20 minutes. And I got like an energy boost from it. I felt like a little bit of a new woman when that was all over with. And I felt like I really do feel like I discovered something, because Guducci is something that is so good for you. And it's something that I should probably take every day, but I can't stick with it because it's really, really bitter. The taste is just not good. But I would be willing to do a Guducci enema every day. And I bet I could get as good results doing the Guducci enema every day as I would ingesting the Guducci daily. So I might try that and get back to you.
I think that's a good thing to bring attention to, is these herbs get absorbed when we're taking them in the rectum. So again, if people can't take herbs orally, doing these things through the rectum can be really, really effective. And there are definitely certain herbs that you could not take that way. Think of things that are heating or potentially irritating to those types of tissues. But I think I'm sick of my ashwagandha. Great. I'll do it in an enema, and I should, in theory, get similar results.
Yeah. Would you believe, I wanted to do an ashwagandha enema. Would you believe I'm out? I have no ashwagandha in my house.
You should be arrested.
I'm a fraud.
I know.
Like all the imposter syndrome. It's true. I am not really an Ayurvedic health counselor.
No, that's funny.
Because I thought about that. I wanted to do it with like decoct it in milk.
Well, that's okay, because I did one.
Oh, tell me about it.
Well, I'll tell you about it later.
Okay.
Because when I have to go in order, it's going to throw me off.
Your turn.
So my third enema, I went classic, just salt enema. I wanted to get like a nice little range and the different things I was trying. Before I forget, I also just want to mention that when Alicia and I are talking about using herbs for enemas, we are using powders, turning them into decoctions, and then straining the powder out. So the powder or the herb matter is not going into the enema. It's getting strained out. So it's just a liquid. It's a tea that's going up there.
Do you think that it would be a problem if we didn't do that?
Hard to say. And I wasn't perfect with straining my enemas. Like, there was definitely still a little grain matter in some of them. It wasn't perfect by any means, but I think that it'd be best not to put that kind of matter up there, was kind of my intuition on that. But I don't think you have to be perfect about it.
Yeah. And so see, I hadn't thought about it because I was looking into doing another enema, and I asked our friend Scotty, and he said, well, you don't want to do a celery. I was going to do a celery, thinking about celery juice. And he said, well, you can't do that because there could be like pieces of celery and they could get stuck to the tissues in the colon. And I was like, because when I was doing coffee enemas all the time, I didn't worry about straining all of the coffee out because everything's going to be expelled anyway. But if I don't strain it well, I'm going to muck up the tubing in my enema bag, and I'm going to mess up my enema.
Yeah. Well, and there's the risk that things don't get expelled for whatever reason. Your body's not operating properly and it retains or holds. Like, I could see that causing some issues or throwing some things out of whack.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting one. Okay, so I did salt. I did the salt one and I couldn't hold it at all. Like, immediately had to go to the bathroom. So then I did it again. And that's the thing. If you do an enema, you can't retain it. You let it go and then do it again. That's totally an appropriate course of action and the proper way to handle that. So I had to do that for a couple of my enemas. So couldn't hold it, immediately released, and then just did it again. The second one was much easier to hold, probably because I had more space in my colon, literally. And I was able to retain that one for 45 minutes. And there wasn't any huge revelations on this one. It felt detoxifying. It felt like it moved things out and through. I enjoyed holding it. I thought it wasn't uncomfortable. It was fine. I went about my tasks. I didn't just lay there on the bathroom floor when I was holding my enemas. I would just put it in and pop up and run around, which I don't know how ideal that is, but you could totally go on with your day. I didn't notice anything much from this one other than, again, some clearing. But as we're 3 days into the enema, overall, I started noticing things like less vata issues, less bloating, lighter attitudes, things like that. So although like the individual enemas might not be very dramatic, I could tell just after 3 days in a row that the results were compounding.
Nice. I felt the same way, that it was just like almost every day, just feeling a little bit less scattered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a scattered, because it's a scattered time, and it's the time of year when Vata is highest. My third day, I think this was my favorite one as far as like my ideas. And I'll just be transparent that the way this happened was I went to work and came home and was like, oh man, I've got to do it. I've got to do an enema. What am I going to do? What do I have on hand? And I landed with a mixture of rose petal tea with coconut milk and sesame oil. So this is cool.
Sorry, like, was this a 2 a.m. enema?
It was a 3 a.m. enema.
Okay, proceed.
Yeah, it was a 3 a.m. enema. So yeah, I did. So I did 30 gram of rose petals infused in a liter of water. I didn't infuse it as long as I would have liked to. It infused for about an hour. That's why it was a 3 a.m. enema and not a 2 a.m. enema. So it came down to like 3/4 of a liter of tea, or 3/4 of a quart, basically, of tea. And then I did 1/4 of a quart of coconut milk and about 4 ounces of sesame oil. I use the coconut milk that's in a can. It's like the Thai brand. It's organic coconut milk. And the only other ingredient is gum, GUAR, which has no chemical processing. It's just food. So I held this one for 30 minutes, and this was really interesting because immediately I felt cooler. Like I felt my skin cool off. Like
Whoa.
I almost just like felt the pitta decrease. And I got us about 15 minutes into the retention. I started to experience this very like not extreme, but like a slight euphoria, which I would owe to the rose. It was like it was working on my heart. And so this is definitely one that I would revisit.
That's really cool. And rose is really mild, and you did a big dose of rose, and I'm wondering if you could even feel the effects more having it bypass the digestive system and go straight into the rectum, because that, that gets up took pretty quickly at that point. So that's really cool. And I have to ask, was it pink and festive from the rose?
Was it pink and fuzz? It was. It was actually because I had the rose tea and then I mixed it with the coconut milk, which was white, and so it was it was pink, and it was like, and then and hey, I get to say it. It's a fact that at least on that day, my shit smelled like roses.
You said roses. You did it. You just did it so you could say that.
I was literally thinking, like, what can I do? And I'd been inflamed. I've felt inflamed. Like my skin has been a little bit painful, and just some of those pitta symptoms that I get in the winter time. And I really have thought that pitta was the problem for the longest time. And what I'm beginning to see this year, as I've learned more and I'm growing in awareness, is that these things happen when vata rises. The problem is not pitta, it's the vata that's moving the pitta into my tissues, and it's coming out on my skin and making me burn. So it was just like this, immediately my skin stopped burning.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really amazing. And who doesn't like a little bit of euphoria?
Well, it'd be interesting to see if you swapped out your sesame oil with coconut oil, if it would be even more cooling.
Well, the coconut oil would be something that I had thought about that. And then I was like, the sesame oil is easier to get into the tubing. I guess I could warm the coconut oil and make it liquid and get it in the tubing. But if it's more than 76 degrees in the tubing, it might solidify in the tubing. And then I didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah. I
don't have a bottle cleaner long enough.
I feel you. The oil is a little inconvenient, if we're being honest.
But it's a little inconvenient. I really do feel that by day 6, it was a non-issue, the sesame oil in the tubing. But I had done it 1, 2, 3, It was my 4th time in a week doing it. So I had gotten it down.
Nice.
What was your next one?
So enema number 4 for me was ashwagandha and shatavari. And I was in a wretched mood this day. So what I did was I learned from day 3 enema, and I immediately started with the saltwater enema to prep it because my bowels weren't moving as regularly as I needed to. And I was doing this enema was happening before my morning bowel movement happened. So I'm like, I'm just going to intentionally do a clear out and then do the enema so I can fold everything in. And I put like a tiny, tiny bit of shatavari ghee in this one, but it was like maybe a teaspoon just because I didn't want to gunk everything up. But I really wanted to get in like a couple ounces of my shatavari ghee, but I just didn't work out that way. So I did ashwagandha, shatavari, prepped first with the saltwater enema, and it was probably a couple cups, and I held it for 3 hours. So I put it in, and I had things to do that day. And so I just held it in until all my things were done and I could go take care of it. And I will say it didn't feel detoxifying. It didn't feel like it cleaned me out like some of the other ones had at this point. But I did notice my mood was like noticeably good after. And I don't know if I can attribute it to the ashwagandha and the shatavari. And it was a significant amount of both. I didn't measure. I just doing heaping tablespoons and just eyeballing everything. I wasn't as proper as you. But I noticed like I felt good. It felt good. Like I felt more grounded and just like a little more even keel than I started my day. So I thought it was like it felt tonifying to me. It felt nurturing. It was the one I held the longest. My retention was longest on it. And it was like slightly uncomfortable, but I wasn't sitting there like griping for, 3 hours. And the effect was noticeable. So that was a really nice enema. And the experience felt different than the other ones up to this point.
So you decocted the shatavari and the ashwagandha or in water?
Yeah.
Okay, you just use water.
Yeah, that's how I did my dashmol, and any herb ones I did, I only really keep powdered herbs on hand. So it was powdered herbs and, let it cool, strain it off, shove it up there, boom.
Nice. I'm gonna segue. Should I be holding mine up? Can you hear me better if I do that?
You can, but my hair kept hitting it, so I was
Oh, okay.
chilling with my little mini mic over here.
Okay. Maybe I will.
It's kind of fun. Like it's fun talking
Well,
into
yours
it.
looks like a little microphone.
It is a little microphone.
Yeah. But it looks like a microphone. Looks like a Barbie microphone.
It makes me feel tiny.
Okay, so let's see. My next day, which was actually, I guess it was the same day almost, was at 1 p.m. So Pitta time, because I'm still inflamed. And by the way, sorry, I'm gonna backtrack. You are the retention queen. 3 hours.
Yeah, but I'm not doing as high a volume as you were doing.
Well, yeah, but still 3 hours. And I'm going to say for our listeners and for you, because I don't know if you thought about this, when we think about aging and, like that people become incontinent and lose the ability to hold things in, that when you're retaining an enema, you are exercising all the muscles that atrophy that cause people to lose the ability to hold things in. So it's really good exercise and good insurance for your future ability to hold in your bowels.
Yes, and it very much is a skill and something to be exercised. And there are certain enemas that eventually you can work up to and hold them overnight. Maybe put a mat down.
Hashtag goals. I was just writing down my goals, my goals for 2026. That's going on the list.
Overnight enema retention.
Overnight enema retention. Okay, so yeah, this is the one. The next one I did is the one that I want to retain overnight, 100%. So I did this at 1 p.m. Pitta times. Again, it was a quart, but it was 8 ounces when I took bone broth and I infused it with CCFT. So cumin, coriander, and fennel. These are, again, vata reducing herbs that help with digestion. I put 30 grams of CCFT in the bone broth and infused it. Or I boiled that stuff. I brought it to a boil and I let it simmer for like 2 hours and then strained the CCFT out of it and mixed it with 24 ounces of Gotu Kola tea.
Whoa.
And the Gotu Kola tea had 60 grams of Gotu Kola in it. So we are talking like just nourishment, like everything good. Gotu Kola, KP says that it's the best tissue healer in the world. And I 100% believe him. Like, I just can't think of anything. If I have anything at all, a cut, a bone, a nerve ending, a brain cell, any tissue that I want to heal, I can't think of anything that would be better than Gotu Kola. And it was another one that was immediately cooling. And
Interesting.
it was immediately cooling. Like, I felt cool. And maybe I'm just laying on my cool bathroom floor, but I'm on a rug. I'm on a carpet. I have a
Well,
pillow under my head.
that's interesting because I would think the meat bone broth would be warming and the CCFT would be warming, but maybe the Gotu Kola
60
shifted,
grams of Gotu Kola
yeah, into cool territory.
entered into cooler territory, but I just felt like that was the thing. I didn't write this in my notes, but like, I've been on my feet and been working with my hands. Like, my hands and my feet, my ankles have been hurting or had been hurting. My knees. I just, don't sit much. I'm getting older, but it's cold and it's dry here. So I'm like my joints have been cracking and stuff like that. And that all went away. It was immediate. So, how long did I retain that one for? I retained it for 30 minutes. Oh. And I mean, really, once you get up to a quart, I don't know how you work up to holding a quart for longer than 30 minutes. It seems like 30, 35 minutes. I guess I could have done the astragalus longer, but I was like, it's been 30 minutes, time to move on. But this was one that was also easy to retain. Like, I hung out in the bathroom and did some yoga, did some downward dog, laid on my stomach and did some I call it reading pose. What is it? It's like Sphinx. I've just hung out in the bathroom for a bit, but immediately afterwards, that was when I got up and I walked out of the bathroom and I walked into my kitchen and I noticed that my hands didn't hurt, my ankle didn't hurt, my feet didn't hurt. I did a squat and my knees didn't crack. Usually I do squats. It sounds like you're making popcorn. And so it was pretty cool.
Do you attribute that to the Gotu Kola or do you think the bone broth played a role there?
I think that was the bone broth. I mean, I
Okay.
think that I really, and the CCF, just like reducing vata and nourishing. I drank a cup of bone broth beforehand.
Both ends. Get both ends at the same time.
Get the bone broth in. Build the oja.
Only because I shared about my milk farts. I want to know how the bone broth did on the way out. Was it savory? Did you notice anything or was it just normal?
I wouldn't say didn't have any like lasting flatulence after the enemas. I feel like I did the enemas after every one of these enemas was done after I had a natural bowel movement, like within 2 hours at max of a natural bowel movement. Some of them within like 15 minutes of a natural bowel movement. And the only one that I experienced like some residual flatulence with was the Guducci Amla Sesame. I feel like the Guducci, Guducci is both detoxifying and building. So I feel like I got some detoxifying action from the Guducci.
Yeah. Well, and the only one that I had after effects like that was the milk. So it must be specific to the milk.
Yeah. So for me, the bone broth was just, it kind of went in, it stayed there, it went out, and we moved on with life. But moved on better. I think that the lack of cracking though was due to the bone broth, but I think that the pain relief was the Gotu Kola. Yeah.
That's really cool. I have a client, and I know she'll listen to this, and she's having trouble getting her Gotu Kola in. And I thought of you, and I knew you did the Gotu Kola in the enema, and I told her, all right, I want you to get your Gotu-Kola in 30 days or we're moving to a Gotu-Kola enema. She's like, I'll drink it. We'll drink it.
Well, and again, that's what I'm saying, because the Guducci, and I did Gotu-Kola powder. I took 30 grams of Gotu-Kola a day for at least 2 years. And I attribute it to curing my fibromyalgia symptoms. But I don't have extreme symptoms today. I can't bring I don't want to say I can't. I'm just not willing to commit to drinking it every day. The Guducci and the Gotu-Kola, I'll buy it. I have good intentions. These are the things that end up not being taken. But I'm totally willing to do Gotu-Kola and Guducci enemas on a daily basis.
We're gonna have to do some follow-up. If you keep up with those, like I'd love to hear in a month or so how that's going.
It was the last of the Gotu-Kola I had in the house. I'm gonna order some this week. And I think I want to get that part of my regimen. And yeah, we can definitely follow up.
Yay! Enema number 5 for me. So I think this is the only place we have a little overlap. I did Guducci, licorice, and musta or mustaka or cypress, whatever you want to call it. So this was my most detoxifying enema, and I put it in and immediately could not hold any of it. Like it just like the urge for this one was so just intense that I immediately emptied. And it felt like even in holding it just for that minute felt detoxifying. So then I did my second enema with it. My herb cost on my enema is a lot because I had to do all mine twice. So my attempt 2 went much better. I was able to hold it in. I had a busy week when I was doing all these, and I put it in and immediately I had like 2 minutes to go meet with the client. Like I got the enema in, I pulled my pants up and like went to go jump on a call with the client. And I'm like, I pray to my Lord and Savior that I can hold it for the hour. And so I was slightly uncomfortable, but I had to hold it for an hour because of that constraint. I wasn't about to go leave a client session to deal with an enema. So this one had a really strong, like downward pushing out sensation compared to some of the more nourishing enemas I had. And I felt like it really did hit the cleansing, detoxifying notes, especially with I'm guessing the Guducci and the Musta. But it was a very like clear contrast between like how this enema behaved and how like the Ashwagandha Shatavari enema behaved. And so I quickly realized that detoxifying enemas are a lot harder to retain. And it felt like more of a cleansing action in my body, which was cool. I thought it was very interesting to see some of these enemas had very distinct different experiences. Some of them were very neutral or mild, but a couple of them felt different, and this one felt very different. So I would definitely do this one again. Musta smells like the Home Depot fertilizer aisle. It's a lot, but I thought it was good. That was enema number 5.
Enema number 5. Is that where I'm at? I'm at enema number 5. Okay. I didn't have the recipe written down, so I want to give people the correct amount.
I love that you tracked amounts. I literally just spooned things into my pot. They were very just intuitive enema dosing.
Intuitive enema dosing. I got no problem. Some of them were scared. My last enema, I was scared to do, and I should have listened to my gut, but we're not there yet. Day 5, I did this probably like this was again. I'm like, gotta get an enema in today because we're recording in 2 days, and so I've got to do my enema. So I did a coffee enema because I know that people are interested in coffee enemas, and as long as it's not the only way I know how to do it, but it's just the way we do it around here. Because I do coffee enemas. My husband will occasionally do a coffee enema, and I do 8 quarts of filtered water. This is not what I put in my enema bucket. This is not all going inside of me, but this is how I make the enema coffee in case anyone wants to know how to make enema coffee. I do 8 cups of filtered water and 1.5 cups of Wilson's coffee.
8 cups or 8 quarts?
8 quarts. Sorry.
8 quarts of water.
8 quarts of water and 1.5 cups, 1.5 cups of Wilson's coffee. You can use other air roasted coffees. I go with the Wilson's coffee because it's what the people that do Gerson's therapy use. And this is where coffee enemas got all of their popularity.
Remind me, is it decaf?
No.
It's caffeinated.
Oh, it's caffeinated because it's air
Caffeinated.
roasted. It is more caffeinated than regular dark roast coffee.
I
Like
hope you
it,
didn't do this one at 3 a.m.
no, I didn't do this one at 3 a.m. I did this one in the afternoon. So I was like, I'm committing crimes against wisdom here because it's pitta time and I'm doing a coffee enema in the middle of the day. And it's also it's heating, it's acidic, but maybe not. Maybe that's counterintuitive because the thing about a coffee enema is that if you insert the enema tubing properly and get it into your colon, the moment that coffee hits your colon, your liver starts to produce bile and begin a purging process. It's highly detoxifying and it's quite stimulating. So this is definitely not something you want to do late because you're going to be ready to go do some stuff afterwards. But it's different. Because we just this is funny because we just did the coffee episode, right? That coffee makes me feel like a crackhead. I'm like not myself and not my usual calm, collected self when I drink coffee. And I can tell the coffee enema doesn't feel like that. It's a cleaner energy boost.
Interesting.
It's, I mean, I'm a big fan of coffee enemas. Years ago, I did one every day for 40 days. And then I did one a week for like 6 months. And then, like those kinds of things, I kind of just like burnt out on it and started doing other things and not sticking as much coffee at my butt. But it's liver cleansing. And so it's highly purgative. It's not something that I can retain for long. So anyway, I did the 8 quarts of water, 1.5 cups of coffee, bring it to a boil, stir it, cover, reduce the heat, simmer for 20 minutes. You're good to go. It doesn't look like the coffee you drink. It's more of like a pale brown color. When you will know anywhere that you spill it because when it dries, it's like a Ninja Turtle green spot on the bathtub or the counter. And you'll need your Clorox cleanup to get it up. But yeah, I retained this one for about 15 minutes, had a full evacuation, and was ready to go and kick ass and take names afterwards.
Nice. I like it. And I like that you got a coffee one in there. I was trying to sprinkle it on my side, and I'm glad you did too. Some classics.
Yeah, you did this. You did the sea salt.
Yeah, classic.
Neither of us did Epsom salt.
No.
I'll just for our listeners, if you're ever like Epsom salt, highly effective, but I didn't do it this time. It's good. Epsom salt's good for relieving constipation,
Well, all that magnesium, that makes sense.
but that wasn't the purpose of what we were doing.
Yeah. Well, and before I jump into my 6th enema, I'll say by this point, I've noticed because I tend towards Vata issues, and in this transient moment in my life, I'm also committing a few crimes against my best wisdom. So, in the middle of a move and just things like that, life gets weird and you got to do what you can do at the time. So, I noticed by this point, there was a significant shift in bloating. And it was noticeable. Like I felt lighter in my body, even though that I was still doing some crimes against my higher self, but it was noticeable. And that was really cool. Like my bowels almost started to be more regular on the whole. And after all my enemas were done, like a couple days later, I had the best bowel movement, like, noteworthy that I've had in a while. And I'm like, wow, things on track. So it was cool. It was cool to see. My number 6 was really boring. I just did Triphala. I did a Triphala enema.
Lovely though.
I know it's good. It's good stuff. And I just love that Triphala is such a Swiss Army knife, and you can do so many things with it. And you can gargle it, you can drink it, you can eye wash, you can enema. And I just wanted to continue to explore all the depths that Triphala offers. And it's just like poster child of Ayurveda. So I had to. I ended up doing 2 rounds of this one. So I didn't hold it released, and then did my second one. I just kind of like submitted to that format for myself. And then I retained it for an hour. It was on the cleansing side. It wasn't necessarily dramatic, but it felt maybe more cleansing than the Dosh Mool enema. there wasn't really anything interesting to note. I did the enema. I did make a mess because I couldn't get there was a bathroom mess involved and there was Triphala everywhere and it was a whole thing and looked like not a very pretty bathroom site, like you ever get the hose if it comes out early or something happens with the hose and it just kind of goes everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, and yeah, it can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, here we are. We're going backwards. I always I lay a towel down on the floor, and then I take another towel and I roll it up, and that's my pillow for when I'm laying on my side. I bring a book. I try to make it's like I'm gonna be here for a while. If, maybe have another towel to cover myself in case if I get cold. And yeah, sometimes there's still a mess to clean up, but it's not the kind of mess like people are thinking, like that things are exploding out of our rectums. That's not what happens. It's just more that sometimes the tube leaks. Sometimes there's some leakage, and sometimes you think that the tube is empty when you take it out and your clamp isn't closed. And then the material that you were trying to get into your colon ends up all over the bathroom.
My clamp got me multiple times where I thought it was closed. I put the stuff in and whoop, the hose is going everywhere. And you're right, like there is no fecal matter involved. Any messes were purely, I got herb on my wall.
I got a herb on my wall.
Yeah. Well, and that's so cute. Like you're like doing enema yoga and you got like your book and your towels. Like mine were like fast and dirty enemas. Shoot them up and get on with my day because that's all I could manage that week.
You sound like an
But
enema junkie.
I know it felt like that. Like Jordan's like, you gonna have like another one? What's going on? But doing it Alicia's way is definitely what I would advocate for. Make it an experience. Bring a book, do stretching, get it in. Like take that time for yourself and make it like a self-care act. Don't do what I do and shoot up and run away.
We're gonna get you to have you're gonna have the relaxing enema experience.
Well, I've had in the past where, you do your enema and you like put your legs up and you're like rotating around and you're doing all the enema things. But girl, I was in the middle of a move.
Yeah, I
One of the
know.
last things getting done was like my enema kit getting boiled and sanitized before I packed it away. And I'm like losing nozzles and it was eventful.
Oh, I love that. I love because when you're packing, well, because you just did it. But so to our listeners, when you're packing and you're moving, you got to figure out what you can pack and what you can't pack because you still have to live there while you're packing and moving. And usually you've got one pot. Well, you got you got your toothbrush and your toiletries, and Lila's got her enema bag.
Priorities. But it was fun and I enjoyed it. And it was also cool to see how, although I wasn't taking the time to do these as much as I could and, making an experience, like you can put in an enema and get on with your day. It doesn't have to be an hour ordeal, you know.
Yeah,
It can be very meet you where you are and fit into your lifestyle.
that's what. Yeah, I felt the same way because it's always feels like it's such a production, and by doing it on a daily basis, it became something that I just did it, and then it's like, okay, moving on.
Yeah. I want to hear what your sixth one is.
Okay, so my sixth one, when did I do this? And I did it right again, right in the afternoon. I did this yesterday afternoon. It was about 4 o'clock. It was a quart. Again, 8 ounces of bone broth. I had some bone broth left over, same bone broth, same CCFT. But I also added a tea that was 24 ounces of water with 5 grams of licorice. So another little bit of overlap here, and 2 grams of Bala.
I almost did Bala. I pulled it out and I thought maybe I shouldn't put the
Ephedrine alkaloids.
up my butt.
Yeah.
I wimped out.
You wimped out. Well, so I went really low because, you can take 2 grams. So you guys have been listening. I did 60 grams of Gotu Kola and 30 grams of rose, and I did 2 grams of Bala because I was scared and I was trying to keep it low. And actually now I'm thinking because I take Bala occasionally, and I find that 2 grams is about like my max. If I could take a gram in the morning and a gram in the evening and live my life. But if I accidentally took 2 grams at once, and that was the day we were doing something, and I was like, I took too much Bala. And it can be stimulating, and it was an overstimulating situation for me. I didn't notice it initially. I think I retained this one for I retained it for 20 minutes, evacuated, moved on with my day, and I was like, ooh, I felt good. I was going to serve at a catering gig. We had a ugly sweater Christmas party. And so I'm ready to go to work, but in the car on the way to work, I just started to feel tense and agitated. Like it was the ephedrine. Yeah. Yeah, I won't do that again.
That's so funny because my last enema was going to be like a Bala one, and I was going to get all creative. And I'm like, you know what? I can't F my day today. We're going to do Triphala. So a little context. Bala is similar to ashwagandha. It's really building. It's really a
Nourishing.
nutrient,
Yeah.
but it does have some ephedrine alkaloids in it, and it can be a little bit stimulating, especially for people that tend towards vata. So I went down, and I'm glad that you didn't, but now we know something.
I donated my body to science, and which I'm totally happy to do. And now I know. But yeah, I wanted to do a Hushu enema because it's my darling, and it just didn't get decocted this week the way things were going.
I bet that one would be like a little hug in the butt.
A hug in the I bet it would be. I'll keep you posted. I'll get back to you on that one. Next time I make some Hoshu, some of it's going. I'll do a little bit. I'll do a tiny one and try to retain it for 3 hours. Yeah. Or 4. Let me see if I can let's make it a competition.
That's amazing. Well, I'm really glad that you suggested 12 days of enemas. It was exciting and it was fun to experiment. I mean, like when I heard about milk and molasses enemas, I'm like, I don't want to do that. And now I have an excuse to do it. So I definitely plan on continuing my experimentation. And I'm glad you are too. So maybe eventually we'll have to do like a part 2. And maybe we can convince a client or two to do some enemas and get some more like, let's bring enemas back. Let's make them a thing again.
Yes, enemas, they were a thing. I'm just going to start talking about them. I saw somebody today. She said, "You look great. You've got a glow." I said, "Yeah, I just did an enema yesterday. I've been doing a lot of enemas. Been doing an enema every day." People look at me like I'm crazy. I want to get to the point where I say that and people go, "Oh," because it's like this health trend.
Well,
because we need a bigger Instagram presence, but we probably
post on there every once in a while. It'll probably help.
Yeah, that might help. We'll see.
If anyone wants to volunteer to run our social media, we'll give you free herbal consults.
Oh, I'd be willing to trade for that.
Hell yeah.
I would trade social media for herb consults.
100%.
Yeah.
Put it out there.
Great idea. Great idea. But no, Lila, I'm so grateful that you did this with me. It's so nice to have a friend who's willing to go off on the deep end and get into the weeds with this kind of stuff. And it's just fun and good stuff. And if y'all are still listening, you guys have listened to, we're on a different recording app today, so I don't know how long this episode's gonna be.
Yeah.
Do you know how long? When did we
I was trying to calculate it and I was like, I can't figure it out.
It's our special Christmas episode. It's longer than an hour. And if you have listened this long to Lila and I talk about all of the things that we put in our rectum, you are a rock star. And open-minded people get to have the coolest experiences. So good for you. Give yourself a pat on the back.
Be proud of yourself.
And yeah.
All right. Well, I guess
bucket.
We'll see them next year. I think we're gonna have a really fun 2026 planned. And
yes.
This is it. Go and enjoy your wind down for the rest of the year, everybody.
This is it. Yes. Happy 2025. Thank you for listening, and we'll see y'all next year.
Thanks for tuning in to Herbalism Uncensored. We're genuinely humbled by the love and support you've shown us.
If you've been enjoying the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review if you feel called, and don't hesitate to reach out. Whether it's with a question, a success story, or a topic you'd love us to explore in a future episode.